Highgrove Online School is a school like no other. Traditional British education online. Our world-class team teach through a powerful combination of self-study, live lessons, and individual support. Our learning coaches provide weekly one-to-one coaching and encourage our students to develop independent learning skills. Highgrove is a gateway to the most selective universities in the UK and abroad. A modern, tailored experience for ambitious young students who can study full-time or part-time to fit around other commitments. Wherever you are in the world, whatever your dreams, we can help them become a reality. Highgrove Online School, an outstanding British school online.
Thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for your patience the last few minutes where we've just been getting people into the room and getting people signed in. For those of you that haven't met me before, my name's Rosie and I work in the School Admissions Office. In terms of the plan for today's session, I'll start by giving a brief overview of Highgrove Online School before I hand over to our expert business teacher, Miss Alexandra Stevens, who'll be leading the taster lesson today. And then we'll finish the session with a chance for any questions. Before we get started, just a few bits of housekeeping. We do welcome questions throughout the event, and any we don't manage to answer during the presentation or during the lesson, we'll make sure we get to those at the Q&A session at the end. Two ways to ask questions. You can either pop them into the Q&A box, which you'll see on the bottom left-hand corner of your screen. That box is private, so it can only be viewed by the staff of Highgrove Online School. Or if you want to, you can pop questions or comments into the chat box, which is just above that. That's public, so anyone attending today's session will be able to see what you've written. Either way, please do ask questions. It's always great to hear from you. And like I said, we'll make sure we get through to them all at some point during the session this evening. So a bit of an overview about Highgrove. We're an online school that's designed for students who want to perform to the very best of their ability for GCSE and A level. We're a high expectation school, means we have high expectations of our pupils, but also of our teachers. And we're also a highly supportive school where we go the extra mile to support those around us. We aim to give students the very best possible education, which of course means achieving examination results they can feel really proud of. But it also means giving pupils opportunities to develop their knowledge and their skills beyond just the exams, to give them opportunities to develop teamwork and leadership skills, to engage in clubs and societies, and to develop friendships in a global school community. Essentially, we're aiming to offer the very best of an all-round British education, but online. Some of you I know are here looking at courses for yourself or for your children. There are some people joining us from schools and colleges who might be looking at how we can support them and their students. So just very quickly, Highgrove Education does partner with other educational organisations around the world, providing their pupils with a flexible education of the very highest quality. So anything from cover supply teaching to one-to-one tuition through to provision of an entire sixth form curriculum. We do provide a range of teaching and learning services. There's options for pupils to have their own dedicated teacher and live lessons, or pupils could join part-time with Highgrove to join one of our online classes. Or we can simply let you have access, or your pupils have access to our interactive self-study materials along with your teaching staff. So for those of you that have joined us from other institutions, other schools, colleges, there's a huge range of options available as well for you. So just to touch on that quickly. Either way, whether you're looking to join us as an individual pupil or you're looking at options to support your organisation, the approach to course design that we take at Highgrove remains the same and is based on the use of what's called a flipped classroom teaching methodology. What this is it involves students working through interactive self-study materials, aiming to develop an understanding of the subject content, and then having a lesson in a virtual classroom where teachers explore their understanding of that material and get them to apply and extend their knowledge. I'm going to show you a short video now that should give you a feel for what the self-study platform is like. The example given is actually from our Maths A-level course, but you'll see similar features across all of our subjects for GCSE and for A-level.
Let's take a look at an overview of the IAL Maths self-study course. You can see we've got an extensive library of interactive self-study materials. Much of the self-study materials are interactive. You've got everything that you need all in one place. No need to go searching on YouTube or looking things up in other textbooks. Your teacher and your mentor are able to see how you're progressing to ensure that you get the support that you'll need. All of the content has been written by subject experts who have a proven track record of supporting students to exam success. You can see you get really detailed feedback instantly on completion of each section. That helps you keep on track. Our maths course has extensive video solutions, so you can digest the maths at your own pace. Make sure that our calculator is in degrees mode. Remember, shift, setup, angle units, degrees. Make sure it's showing a capital D on the screen. Then we enter this into our calculator. Handwritten solutions and answers allow you to quickly check your work, so you don't necessarily need to watch every video if you're progressing well. Our self-study platform gives you the flexibility to study when and where suits you best. We have extensive exam practice built into the course, so that by the time you get to the exam, you're feeling confident and ready. We have detailed model solutions so that when you make mistakes, you can learn from them. Our courses help you to develop your subject knowledge while also developing your ability to learn independently. We hope you like them as much as we do.
So hopefully that video gave you a sense of what our self-study material feels like. I've seen a comment in the Q&A, someone was having trouble viewing the video. I'm sorry if that was the case for you or for anyone else attending. We can send them out to you, so what I can do is follow up with you after the session and get the video out to you so you can have a look at that self-study material. So if you also had any problems with the video, do pop a little note into the Q&A for us so I can make a note to get that out to you in the next day or so. So we've had a look at the self-study platform. Before we go to look at an example of a lesson with Miss Stevens, just a quick look at what a timetable might look like, a typical week for a full-time pupil at Highgrove Online School. What you can see on here is a combination of fixed live lessons for the subjects this pupil's taking, house meetings, elective courses, and extracurricular activities. Of course, what you don't see here are the self-study lessons, as they can be completed at a time and a pace that suits the pupil. So that's what a typical week looks like. Now it is time to see what a typical lesson looks like. Just before I hand over to Miss Stevens, I should say that in lessons at the school, all of the pupils and staff have their cameras and their microphones on, and teachers would make use of breakout rooms and a wide range of other interactive activities. For reasons of safeguarding, however, we can't do this for taster lessons. But what we can do is allow you to see our teachers in action, and to give you a sense of the functionality of Adobe Connect, one of our state-of-the-art learning platforms. So with that, it's my pleasure to hand you over to Miss Alexandra Stevens, who will be leading our GCSE Business Taster lesson today. Over to you, Alex.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for that, Rosie. And welcome on this very rainy evening here in the UK. And I'm hoping that you've got slightly nicer weather where you are, but it's the usual, I'm afraid, in north of England. But it's good to see everybody. And I'd first of all like you to take part in what we often do is have a little poll, like you can see here, thinking about which is the most profitable business in the world. So have a little go at that. And then if you can also have a look at the question below, what is your favourite business and why? And we can sort of have a little discussion around that. So we've got some votes in. We've got many of you going for Apple, but we do have somebody's picked. Oh, just one second. We've got one for Saudi Aramco, which is actually the correct answer. So well done. It is an oil company. Actually, those of you who picked Apple, that is the second most profitable company. So you're certainly on the right track there. And it's nice that somebody's put Highgrove as their favourite business. If there's anyone else wanted to contribute to that, that would be brilliant. If we can have a little look at that one. Be quite interesting to know what businesses do interest you. So do have a think about that. Okay, we'll go into the taster lesson then. And if I can invite as much kind of comments in the chat as possible, that would be fantastic. So what we've got here is a typical kind of interactive lesson that we have. We have a lot of discussion about real life businesses and so on. So let's have a little go here. I want you to sort of discuss in the chat really what these businesses might have in common. So we've got Google Glass. This was an idea by Google. Let's have a look at this one as well, Sinclair C5. Okay, we've got something called Crystal Pepsi. Hoverboards. New Coca-Cola. Amazon Fire Phone. So I just want to sort of pause it there, and if you can type in the chat what you think might sort of connect those. Okay. So one person said, is it all big businesses? So yeah, I mean, a lot of these were big businesses, but I was just wondering what you think might connect them. So I've got a few people. Yeah, that's a good point. That actually, yeah, they're all relatively new, potentially. Does anyone know what happened to these products? That's what I was thinking. Something happened or didn't happen with these products is a bit of a clue. So we've got a few people contributing on the chat, which is brilliant. Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you, Betty. They didn't take off. Yeah, weren't well received. Fantastic. Got some great ideas coming through. So these were all effectively big companies with business failures that happened. And when we think about what works in a real business, a business should actually solve a product. Yeah, thank you as well. Pretty useless products, absolutely. And we all have experience of sort of picking up products or interacting with products that we don't think are that valuable. So one second there. Let's just put that there. So one of the main reasons that these ideas failed was that customers didn't need them. And that's the key to a business, is that customers do need a business as well. So the most successful businesses will solve a problem. And this way, customers will be willing and able to pay for their products and services. Okay. So in the chat, if you can, sorry. Yeah. Okay. One of the things that I'd like to see is what makes an idea good. So if you can have a go in the chat at coming up with what makes an idea good, that would be brilliant. What do you think makes a business successful? Just give me your ideas. Thank you. Something different. Absolutely. That's key to it, isn't it? It needs to be a product or service that people want. Absolutely. Oh, brilliant. Excellent answer. Timing, problem solved, availability and reliability. Yeah, really good. Nice list there. Thank you. So this is the kind of thing I want you to think about. So I've got this challenge for you today, and it's not, don't worry, it's not too big a challenge. It's just a flavor of what we do in lessons and give you an idea about what business is all about, which is to meet the needs of customers. So your task today is to come up with a new product or a new version of an existing product. If you think about a lot of successful products, they're not actually brand new innovations. So you don't necessarily have to create something that doesn't exist. It may simply be improving something that is already there. And I want you to think about how it might solve a problem. That would be the first thing, and how you might distribute the product. How might the brand, the product you're using, use colors and logos, and how will you promote your product? Now, it sounds like a long list. So what I want to do is just give you an illustration of the little business that I've come up with, and then you can have a little go yourselves. So my little idea is coming from the idea that it's soon to be my daughter's birthday, and I generally buy balloons and things like that for those sorts of occasions. But what I noticed is that with the challenges of the environment, there are not very many party accessories available which are recyclable, renewable, and aren't harming the planet. And that's something we all need to consider. So I thought that would be something that I could look out for. And I went online and I couldn't find very many options here for recyclable balloons or things that didn't have a big impact on the environment. In terms of price, I'm thinking people will probably be prepared to pay a higher premium, a higher price, because they recognize that I'm providing a higher quality and recyclable products. In terms of promotion, I'm going to use cooking magazines, places where the customers are based. In terms of where I'm going to distribute, I'm afraid I'm going to use Amazon, because that is probably one of the biggest distribution methods that small businesses can access, and gives me a lot of reach across the globe. And I think the brand, I hope you like this. Maybe you can give me your thoughts in the chat here. So I'm going to call it Party for the World, when connecting the idea that this is beneficial to the world rather than harming the world. And the logo would be something to do with a globe floating into the sky, something like that. So any thoughts on my business idea would be most welcome. But now it's your turn. I want you to consider your own business idea. Just very briefly in the chat, give me some ideas of how it might solve a problem. You may even have already considered a product that you might like to put out on the market. So looking forward to some ideas. If you just, even if you have one idea, just put it in the chat now, that would be great. Thank you. And any questions, give me a shout on the chat as well, or on the Q&A. So we've got our first idea, which is an app to get ice cream. Oh yeah, I'm totally in with that one. An app to get ice cream vans to your house. That would solve a big problem, wouldn't it? And Betty loves that. So thank you for your input there. I always think that on a sunny day, you always want the the ice cream van to come, and they never do. You can hear them. You just can't get them there. Yeah. Door-to-door ice creams is a great idea and solves a brilliant problem. Any other ideas? There's a lot of thinking going on, isn't there? Or any ideas of how you might promote your product would be useful. Yeah, I think it is hard to see to think of something that's original. It is difficult, isn't it? It's quite challenging. And therefore, you can just build on an existing idea. My party accessories idea just builds on what we've already got, isn't it? There's lots of those around, but I thought about the idea of, appealing to people who were caring about the environment, which is a growing concern. Anybody else for any other ideas? I'm sure there's lots of budding entrepreneurs out there, aren't there? A lot of students I know have even run their own little businesses. One of my students recently was creating keyboards, which is a great idea, isn't it? Sort of more kind of niche keyboards for people. So if you've got any other ideas, then please put them in the chat. Okay, I will watch that carefully. So we've got some ideas, haven't we, of things that we could do. Oh, we've got another one coming in. That's brilliant. A company called Slicks, which are essentially soles of shoes which clip onto branded designs. Fantastic idea. That sounds really good. And what kind of pricing do you think you would go for that? Go there for, Paolo? What would you say? What sort of price would you target that product? Some great ideas, by the way. Okay. So these are the kind of things we think about in business generally, is we do think about how we create products and how we put those business ideas into practice. What price level are we going to pitch our products at? And how do businesses actually produce products and get them out for distribution? These are key to the whole kind of GCSE business, but also if you wanted to study further in A-level business, we take it into a lot more detail then. So the two courses are really nicely connected at Highgrove. And Paolo's just come back to me to say, quite a high sort of price, probably quite niche. You probably have to do market research as well, wouldn't you, to actually decide on whether that price was right and whether the product was going to work with a bit of testing. And real businesses do this, of course. They do some market research and find out about their customers, because at the end of the day, the business is going to be there to meet customer needs. So I've really enjoyed hearing your ideas so far, and any more that come through, please mention. Okay, so okay. Now, task 2, we'll move on to another task. So these are just indicative of the kind of things that we might do. So we talk a lot about entrepreneurs, and entrepreneurs are people who start businesses and can go on to great things, of course. Some entrepreneurs may stay small and some may lead on to much larger businesses. So I'm just thinking, maybe your ideas in the chat, what kind of skills do you think you might need to become an entrepreneur? Just even if it's one word, what would you say to that? Yeah, I love that. Yeah, soft skills are so important these days. And do you know, they're saying that with the increase in AI, that they are going to be even more important, which is really interesting. Confidence in your idea. What a great idea that is as well. Entrepreneurs do tend to be quite confident and passionate to drive their idea through, don't they? And yeah, absolutely. I think also quite hardworking generally is always welcome, isn't it? So thank you for those fantastic ideas. Now, these are actually what the Harvard Business School says is an important set of characteristics. Now, what I want you to do, which is quite an interesting idea, isn't it, is just look at that list there and consider which of those characteristics would you say would apply to you? Is there anything there that would say, which you would say, yes, I recognize that I've got that skill, and maybe you too could be an entrepreneur? Which one of those would you say? Brilliant. Persistence, absolutely. Adaptability, persistence. Yeah, a lot of you recognizing the persistence, actually. Well, that's not a problem, Paolo. Why not? That sounds like, you're on track to be, if you're not already, a budding entrepreneur. Yeah, absolutely. So it's quite nice, isn't it? And we do this in the business lessons. We consider how things apply to ourselves, and what we look at real life examples and case studies of entrepreneurs, and decide on whether what makes them tick, what makes them successful, and indeed, businesses don't always work out, and often one of the things that maybe isn't in here is the idea that businesses often fail the first time round or the second time round, and it's the ability to bounce back, much like life itself, I would say. So well done, and thank you for your contribution there. Now, we often have little quizzes because we like to keep it, we're an online school, so we like to be very interactive. So we like to do quizzes just to check knowledge and sort of have some ideas. So just have a little go at these in the chat. A person who works for someone else, what would you say would be the answer to this one? You can just put the letter in there. What would you say? Betty reckons it's it's B, and we've got a lot of options B. Fantastic. No problem about sharing the session. That's absolutely fine. Absolutely, it's B. Which is employee. What about this one? People who own, operate, and take a risk for a business venture. What would you say that would be? Yeah, getting some good answers in here. So this is what we were just talking about, isn't it? In terms of people who take a risk are going to be entrepreneurs. That's what we talk about. Thank you for your answers there. Now, a bit more challenging this question, because we like to challenge our students at times. Which do you think is not an advantage of entrepreneurship? Which one of those? Okay, any other ideas? Any other options there? So we've got, I think I agree with you, Betty. I think it is making decisions alone, actually, is difficult. Working alone can be quite difficult when you're an entrepreneur. You don't necessarily have anybody to advise you. This is your business. This is, it's all on you. You're taking the risk, and that can be quite challenging. Question 4, what type of entrepreneurial business produce the products they sell? So the word there is produce. Which one of those do you think it is? Do you think it's manufacturing, wholesaling, retailing, or service? So Paolo, you're straight in there. Fantastic. And Betty as well, both agreeing with that. Yeah, so the production of goods is known as manufacturing. So we look at the types of businesses in our GCSE that exist. To meet goals, the entrepreneur may develop plans. What sort of plan do you think an entrepreneur might have to create? So this is, you may not have heard of it, but if you give it a go, that would be great. Okay, so we've got business plan, maybe. Yeah, fantastic. We've got a lot of options here for business plan. So this is a document where the entrepreneur sets out what they want to achieve, and we do learn a lot about business plans and the benefits of them. Final, I think, of the quizzes, is name the entrepreneur. We talk about this guy quite a lot in our lessons. Any thoughts? Straight away, yeah, most people know who he is. Very famous, isn't he? Very successful, and does have some good ideas. Although I heard with the Northern Lights in the UK recently that there was some interference to his satellite. So I don't know whether you heard about that, but it's pretty interesting, isn't it? So we also relate a lot of the business to the news that we read about, which is also quite interesting. Right, okay. And just to finish off, I'm just going to pick on one of these things. So we also look at, in GCSE business, what the impact is of the external environment on a business. So when I came up with my business idea, I was considering the environment there. So I just wanted you to consider, for a business like McDonald's, which is quite well known, can you think about like one way it might be affected by anything in the economy or by legislation, laws, or even by the environment? Just one way. That would be brilliant if you could pop that in your chat. Oh, fantastic answer. Yarli says minimum wage. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and environment is very important to McDonald's. In particular, yeah, it's obviously building in different places. Yeah, sugar tax. What a great idea. Yes, sugar tax could make things more expensive for McDonald's and therefore could make it more expensive to customers. So this is another element that we look at in business, is the external impacts on the businesses themselves. And there you go. This is how McDonald's have responded to that. They have created this Planet Positive, working towards net zero emissions by 2040. So a lot of businesses having to really get on board with the increasing challenge of high CO2 emissions across the world. Now, just to finish off, I just wanted to give you an idea what the GCSE business is about very briefly. So you will be split between learning about small businesses like we've discussed today in our own little kind of mini business ideas, but we will also then go on to study larger businesses. So these are the businesses that that are well known across the globe, and they're split evenly in terms of the assessment of the paper, 50% each way. And we draw amongst topics in terms of marketing and sales and operations and so on. So that's just a brief overview there of what's involved. Business activity, people in business, of course. We don't have businesses generally without people running them, and how the finances work for the business, a little bit about marketing and how we meet customers' needs, and then how the actual products or services are produced. So that in a nutshell is a little bit about business, very much just a flavour, just feel of what kind of goes on in an online lesson. I hope that was useful. It's been great. And thank you very much. If there's any questions, do let me know, and look forward to seeing you soon, hopefully. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Alex. All this talk of McDonald's and ice cream is making me a bit peckish. But before we go anywhere, there have been a few questions coming into the Q&A. And as Alex said, if you've got any more questions now, please don't be shy. Please pop them either into the Q&A or into the chat box, and we'll get through to them. There's some questions that I can probably answer, some that I'll ask Alex to comment on for us. You'll also see on the screen right now, just before we get to the questions, there's about how you heard about Highgrove Online School. So if you don't mind filling that in, we'd be really grateful. And then you'll see some web links next to that. So links to things like our website, options to book a call with the admissions team, and to some of our social media. So do feel free to follow those links on your screen if you'd like to. Getting on to some of the questions, Alex, I don't know if you can help me with the first one. Someone's asked about how many lessons they would have a week and how often they get to speak to their teachers. So I don't know if you can help talk a little bit about your live lessons generally, but also more generally looking after pupils and the support they get if they were to join for a GCSE course.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah. So the students are really well supported, I think, and the relationship is really quite interactive, and I can give very specific help to you if you're struggling in a particular area. So sometimes lessons are tailored around the pupils' needs in terms of how they're getting on with particular topics. There's obviously the self-study element, which means that obviously if there's any problems with that, we can then zoom in on and give some close attention to those areas that were causing problems in the self-study materials. And we have the 2 live lessons a week, which are 45 minutes long, which is the perfect amount of time. And if anybody knows anyone at the school, they will recognise that is actually a really sort of ideal kind of amount of time. So yeah, the students are really well supported, and they will find it a very friendly, very caring, very approachable kind of system, where they'll also get to know their classmates really well. We have lovely chats about things, and we have the ability to kind of, like I say, discuss things that are happening in the news. It's really, really fun as well.
Thanks, Alex. And I'll add to that there's always support outside of lessons and self-study. So if you're really struggling with something, all of our teachers are available for office hours. You can pop them an email or a message on our Teams chats. So if you're ever in need of support, you can always speak to your teachers, and always speak to a learning coach as well if you need some wider support with your studies and how you're getting on. I've seen another one for you probably, Alex. I've seen in the chat, do you need to be good at maths to take the business GCSE?
To be honest, the maths content is fairly limited, and the maths that you need to be able to do is probably much easier than your GCSE maths is. So I think that shouldn't be an issue. Majority of the subject is written. You do need some mathematical skills, as you do with many of the subjects, but it isn't the sort of majority part of the subject. So and obviously with the close support and attention that you get in class, you'll probably find that you'll whiz through those calculations without a problem. And does it matter if you haven't studied business before? No, not an issue at all. That the whole course is designed as if you've never studied it before. And the great thing is everybody's interacted with the business before. We were all customers, and therefore we draw on that knowledge, and that's what makes it a really relevant qualification, whichever sort of field you want to go in the future. But you've also got your own personal experience that we draw from too.
Thanks. I mean, I think that leads quite nicely to a question that came to the Q&A, which was, how do I join? Obviously, as we said, with business, it really doesn't matter if you've studied it before, if you've got a wealth of knowledge, or it's just something you're interested in. We do have an application process for our GCSE programme. So whether you're applying for a full-time course or just individual subjects, that does involve some assessments, but not specifically for business. So like I said, you don't need any specific knowledge of business previously to join for the business GCSE course. If you're looking at a full-time GCSE programme with core subjects like maths, science and English, then we would ask you to complete some assessments as part of the admissions process. And that also helps to give us a good idea of how you might get on in some of the other subjects like business or psychology that are not core subjects. The assessments are nothing to worry about. They're done online. They take around 30 minutes each. And they're really just an opportunity for us to find out where you're at in your studies. If there's any areas where you might need some additional support to be able to be ready to join the GCSE course for, like I said, those core subjects, and to help you explore what other subjects might be good for you in terms of what you maybe want to do on later down the line. So there is a bit of an admissions process for the full-time GCSE course, but you don't necessarily have had to study every single subject you're looking to take at GCSE before you join us. And what I would say is if you're unsure at all, you maybe haven't decided what subjects might be good for you, we can look at that during the admissions process. So just book a call with me in admissions, or send us an email, and we'll be able to look at the best options for you. I'm just checking to see if any other questions have come in. I don't think any more have, but I'm just checking the Q&A. No, okay, I think that's all the questions. If anyone's got any last minute ones now, do quickly throw them in the chat or into the Q&A. Like I said, if they're unsure about anything at all in terms of the courses we offer, the subject combinations, how the admissions process works, if you're not sure if Highgrove Online School might be right for you, do get in touch. The best thing to do is have a chat about your specific circumstances, maybe what your ambitions might be, your aims later down the line, and then we can find the best options that can work for you. Like I said, there's the web links there on the screen. So the first one is for our website. It has a bit of more information about the various options available. And underneath is a call with admissions. So you can go onto there, it will show up our admissions calendar, and you can book a call at a time that suits you. And then, like I said, we can have a chat. I can answer any questions that you might have, and we can go from there. I think that's all the questions. No more have come in while I've just been saying those last bits. So that just leaves me to firstly thank you, Alex, for your taster lesson today. I hope everyone enjoyed it and got a good feel for what learning business might be like at Highgrove. And thank you for everyone that attended. Like I said earlier, we'll do some follow-up emails. So for those of you that had a bit of trouble seeing and hearing the video earlier, we'll make sure we get a copy out to you all. And like I said, please do get in touch if there's any more questions. But otherwise, enjoy the rest of your evening, or possibly your afternoon or morning, depending on where you've joined us from. and I hope we'll be in touch soon.